All right. Okay. Welcome to Lunch and Learn with Linda Brubaker. And this is a job search lunch and learn group. We're here to support you, to provide information, to provide support, to provide whatever resources we can to help you find that next forever job. I'm a job search coach, and I've been doing this for the last 7 years. And prior to that, I was a recruiter, both inside and outside, which means that I was a headhunter. I was an HR business partner. I was a hiring manager. And I bring all of that experience from all sides of the desk to this job coaching role to help you find that next forever job. And I'm excited to be here. This is my give back, but if you want one-on-one support, more than happy to do that too. That's what supports me and allows me to do this kind of work. I want to introduce Sue and let her introduce herself. Sue is a great supporter. She's a mentor. She's one of the people that I go to for additional support, and I'm really glad that she's here almost every week.
Thanks, Linda. I love being here because you all help Linda and me teach you as we get each week a view from you of how job searching is shifting. I just saw Linda's post this morning about the job market stinks and job searching stinks. Can't remember what the lead in was. I do run a global mentoring practice, so I try to remind us all that all of our jobs in many ways touch the global world and help me understand better what everybody's seeing, and I bring global perspectives. Also know a lot of you, but I see some new faces. Would love to connect with you on LinkedIn, and my URL's in there. I am the mentor with pom-poms, so you'll see me cheer on wins, rejections, learnings, aha moments, and everything in between. Thanks, Linda.
You're welcome. And now that's a great segue, because now what we'd like to do is we'd like to talk about wins. We celebrate wins every week. We know the job search is hard. So whether it's a big win or a little win, we'd really like to be able to celebrate you. So does anybody have a win that they would like to share? All right, Al.
So I've been talking about this for months now, and the job has finally come through. I had my written offer on Friday, and so I start June 17th. But if you're new to this call, you haven't heard my story, it's purely a networking opportunity that happened to me. But it took about from January when I first talked to them to now. It's been 6 months of getting the job together and them creating it. So, but sometimes you just have to hang in there, I guess. But I've been out of work since August of 22, so it's been a long time, and so I appreciate everybody's help and support. Linda, with this group, Sue, with your advice, and so I appreciate all the help, and I will continue to help anyone who needs it. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn, or I'm in higher education. So if that's your world, I'm happy to help. So thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Congratulations. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
John.
Hello, everyone. So I guess it was end of last week, got a job offer for a contract job that I was hoping to get because it was a business analyst role. I was trying to transition out of QA, so that is great, and it goes till the end of December, and then a possibility of converting to full-time also. And a few of the people that I interviewed with had started as contractors and converted. So hopefully that's a good sign, and it seemed like a great company. So it's been a long journey. I've been looking for a little bit over a year now. But thanks, Linda, for all your advice and help, and everyone else on this call.
Absolutely. Congratulations, John. Long time coming, I know, but one of the things that I love about this is that John just demonstrated that you can make the switch from one field to another, one career path to another, and that sometimes doing that requires taking a contract job, but it can absolutely be done. And it's a great way of getting that experience and demonstrating what you can do of value in that new role. So congratulations, John.
Yeah, thanks.
And by the way, anytime you do take a contract position, my advice is to keep your feelers out there, keep looking, because even though it says it goes till December, and that there's a possibility of turning it into a full-time job, which is absolutely what we're looking for. Contract roles don't always go that long, and people know that if you find something better that is that full-time role, that's really where you want to be. So go ahead and
Yeah,
do that.
that's true.
Okay,
Yep, good point.
perfect. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay. Chad.
So I also had an interview on Friday for a contract position. Seemed to go well. I know that the recruiter is speaking to the hiring manager today, and they should have a decision made by the end of the week. So similarly, it's right now slated to go for 6 months, but potentially could be extended through February. It's with a company that I actually applied to for a different full-time role a couple weeks ago. So this could work out really well where I could go in and do some networking, kind of show them what I'm capable of. So fingers crossed this worked out. And then I also had a phone screen for a full-time role on Monday. Went okay. We'll see if I get a call back from them either this week or next week.
That's great. And one of the nice things too about contract roles is that you now have internal references for that next full-time position. So that's a great way of doing it. Congratulations. Keep us posted.
Thanks. We'll do.
Okay, Dean.
Well, congrats, Al, Chad, and John.
Mhm.
I too have landed a position. My start date is also on the 17th. So again, I have to say, as Al did, thank you, Linda. Thank you, Sue, for all your help. And thank you, fellow learners, for everything that you've done. I do have to also agree with Al, a bit of networking / Indeed landed me this position. So
Very good. So what do you mean that Indeed landed you the position?
Indeed sent me the position, and the company, I knew the HR recruiter.
That's great.
So, and I knew the recruiter from all these meetings. So
That's fantastic. Let me know where you land because I'd love to be able to support you further. So perfect. Thank you. Okay, see another hand up.
Yeah, I've had a couple of wins. The first is that I've been getting some expert witness work, which has been great. And then I've also have a position lined up. It's a 1099 contractor role. I kind of want to be a 1099 contractor anyway because of just the benefits it brings to me. But mine is more like I got the job and I'm still waiting on whether or not it's official because they did all the background, the credit checks, and then I still haven't gotten word yet if the start date is still as it is. So it's kind of giving me some apprehension, but at least I have like 5 other partnerships lined up for, I guess maybe you can call it like freelance tax work because I'm pivoting my career from just being an accountant to being more of a tax expert and tax representation expert. So I'm happy about that.
That's fantastic. Congratulations. I love this today. All these wins, these are great. Congratulations. So what do you do expert witnessing in?
Well, I've just been doing like a couple of projects. I have my first one tomorrow. It's going to be about like tax software market analysis, but I'm on a website called the Expert Witness Institute. And so what I'm looking to do is after I get my EA certification enrolled agent, I'm looking to branch out into helping other law firms with tax controversy work, doing, IRS abatements, appeals, collections, offers and compromise, and be able to, help people with back tax issues and bankruptcy.
Very nice. Congratulations. Thank you. Anybody else have a win that they want to share? All right. And make sure that everything is in the chat and we're going to get started because today is really all about you guys. It's your questions. So if you've got a question, put it in the chat, but also raise your hand so that we make sure that we can find you. We'd like to get as many of those questions answered as we can today. And while I'm waiting for people to start asking their questions, I want to remind you all that on June 19th, we have somebody coming in to do a guest expert here at Lunch and Learn. His name is Alex Immel, and he is a negotiations expert. And so he's going to be talking to us about how and why you should negotiate every time. So I expect that one to be a very interesting conversation. I've heard him talk a couple of times. He's got some great insights. All right. Does anybody have a question that they would like to ask? Okay.
Yeah, my question is about like kind of the mindset shift I'm having with going into being like an independent contractor with my own business versus like going into a job, because part of me is like, I have all these good things lined up contingent upon like getting my skills up and whatnot. But on the other hand, part of me is like, well, could one shoe fall off the other foot while I'm trying to get it? Because I have like an ideal scenario of what I think will happen versus what could happen. And, as a result of that, it's giving me like some anxiety because like right now, I just don't really see myself getting a full-time job just due to the like chronic crassness and disrespect with hiring managers, people not being honest with me. And so I just like, I just go and I just do my own thing on a project basis. And then I branch it out with like 5 different people at a time. And then I can take on huge amounts of work at a time.
Mm-hmm. The big problem with doing that is just the inability to predict what you're going to have and when you're going to have it. So there will be ebbs and flows in terms of income and work.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's the bigger kind of an issue. But if that's the thing that makes you comfortable, then absolutely go for it. There's lots of opportunity out there.
Yeah, because the thing is that, kind of work that I want to do, I'm still like not sure in terms of, let's say I have all these companies I've lined up that I'm going to work with. It's one where like how many, should I focus on versus like everybody's like, oh, I applied for like 50 to 100 jobs, and then maybe I like talk to a few people and I'm putting all my eggs in that like one basket versus okay, there's some work that I want to do, but at least I'm on a roster, I'm already signed up, I have some work that's going to come in, and then maybe I'll scale that, and it's very interesting.
It is. It's a unique perspective. It's a very different perspective than job hunting in one way, because you're always job hunting when you're working for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like when it comes to this whole thing with like the job hunting and whatnot, I mean, it's really about like who do you, I guess, want to put all your time and attention to? I mean, do you want to go and put time and attention to like getting your own skills up and then trying to use those skills as a form of marketing to be able to find someone who you could have a long-term partnership with? Or do you want to go and then say, okay, God, I'm going to work for this employer and that employer? But as we've seen, I think that a lot of employers are not serious about hiring. I think they waste everyone's time. I think that they're just they have mindset issues when it comes to looking at candidates. And especially being a self-employed person for the past several years, I'm not sure what my confidence is in wanting to like think, oh, is a full-time thing really worth it for me and worth it, given the time I have.
I understand. A lot of people are making that decision these days. So going a contract route, going out on your own, that's something that is absolutely a viable option for you.
Because some other contract roles, like they're good, but I will never take a contract role unless if it's on 1099, because I don't think my rights are going to be protected. And I think I'm just going to be taken advantage of. And I've done it before where I've taken contract jobs in W-2 and I'm basically fed to the wolves instead of treated like somebody with some expertise. And so that's things like some other people are like, oh, I have contract roles, but then we wanted to treat you like an employee. I'm like, I'm not an employee. I have my own business. I have skills. I want to be able to have my company paid.
Well, and that's a different perspective, and that's your perspective, not the company's perspective. So it really depends on how you want to work. Most times, if you're doing a contract role, you are a 1099, or you are going in and selling it as your business service, and it isn't even listed as 1099. It's just listed as a purchase agreement. So that's strictly up to you. But there are some roles that you can do as a 1090, as a contractor, as a W-2. Honestly, I recommend that if that is the option, because you get some additional things, including unemployment should the position go away. which you would not get if you're a 1099.
Interesting.
So different perspective. Thank you. Good luck. Keep us posted and let us know how things are going.
All right.
Hey, Kyle. You have to unmute, Kyle. There you
I
go.
know, I know. I just clicked the unmute button, but just anyway, to create some perspective, I've been laid off for almost a year now. I actually worked at a company, a chemical company called Dow Chemical for about 5 years as a learning specialist. So I'm basically trying to find businesses that have something that would reflect my experience in the learning management system background, OMS. So the most recent job I have recently gotten a screening for finally was a provider credentialed trainer at my Michigan Health. And from what they told me, they're going to get a decision next week whether or not I'm going to have an interview with them. I guess my whole question is just getting back to like I've been out of work for almost a year. I've gotten nothing but rejections from all the past methods I've tried. I've tried Indeed, I've tried LinkedIn, I've applied for numerous jobs. And what I've found is the system just keeps spitting out the rejections. And what really needs to happen is you need to approach the HR manager directly and talk to them, because the system is only going to look for that perfect match. And I don't seem to have that perfect match. And the only way I can get right to the HR manager, that would be more effective than just going through the process that's just going to reject you.
Okay, so a couple of things. Networking absolutely is a good thing to do. But
Yep.
I will tell you that the system doesn't automatically reject you. That's not the way it works. An ATS.
I've gotten a application for Dow Chemical. I think it was about an hour later, I got that requisition email just rejecting. So
if that's
it
the
rejects
case,
pretty quickly.
if that's the case, then what happens is, as the recruiter, I go into my ATS system and I say, any candidate's resume that I want to look at must have X, Y, Z. If you don't have that, you're right, you'll get a rejection. Or if the ATS system cannot read your resume, the materials that you submit, you will get that rejection. The ATS is
not an issue, because I worked with a coach that has given my resume just the perfect format that the ATS system should be able to read.
excellent. Okay. Then make sure that each time you're sending it out, you are changing it to match the needs of that company, that particular position, each and every time. And I know it sounds like a pain, but you are much more likely, whether you're going in through networking, whether you're going in through a direct application, you are much more likely to get that phone call. If I can, in my 2 to 9 seconds of screening that resume to start with, I can quickly see how you match what it is that I need.
Yeah, and I mean, I have probably about 7 to 9 months worth of money saved up. So I do have some money, but I would like to have more money come in so I don't run out.
Of course, we all want that, right? Nobody wants to be unemployed for a long period
I mean, I have a 401k, but I do not want to touch that.
I don't blame you. So the idea is, yes, you want to be able to have that emergency fund. You want to make sure that you don't, if you can, you want to make sure that you don't deplete it and you get something quickly. But there are lots of things that you can do. So there are a lot of job search coaches out there. I'm the first one to admit it, okay? Everybody who looks at your resume is going to have something different to say. But there are over... Go ahead.
Also, Linda, I've also been working with my state agency, the Michigan Rehabilitation Services.
Excellent.
I'm on the autism spectrum, so just more recently had that like 4 or 5 hour evaluation. Had to be cut short because we ran out of time, but I finished a final hour like about a little more than a week ago, and those results have to be sent to my case manager, which they will then continue with the process, because the case manager knows a lot of recruiters that she can connect me with.
Absolutely. There are some specific jobs that are great for people with autism. There are companies that provide a lot of support for individuals with autism. Connect with them.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying, like, the job I was in for about 5 years paid a very good salary, like at Dow Chemicals. So I'm probably not going to get a salary like that in my next position, but hopefully something where I have an opportunity to advance.
And that would be wonderful.
I'm currently in Toastmasters right now, and I've been in Toastmasters for 16 years now. I've held numerous leadership roles. I'm going to be division director next year. It's going to be my second time. Last time I was division director was 8 years ago. So this will be my second round around the tracks. And prior to that, like this year, I was Area 15 director, had the only distinguished area in the entire district because our district is in the process of growing. We're actually very weak right now, and we need to really grow our district and create new clubs.
Sounds wonderful. So good luck. Keep us posted. Let us know how we can help. Okay, but the idea is every time you send out a resume, regardless of what kind of a format you're using, and a plain, simple, dull, boring Word document is your best format. No text boxes, no tables, no icons, no graphics.
No Comic Sans.
Nope, no Comic Sans. Okay, you can do that on a post if you like, but don't do it for a resume. So good luck. Keep us posted.
Yep, thanks.
Bo.
Kyle, I just want to praise you and compliment you for being such an active Toastmaster. In my job search in the past, I had 4 different people in job search recommend that I check out Toastmasters. Finally, on the 4th person I did. I've now been a member for 4 years. So I recommend Toastmasters to everybody on this call. It will make you a better public speaker and a more confident leader. So I praise you for being on this, Kyle, and we're there to help you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bo. John.
Sorry, just wanted to echo what Bo had said. Congrats, Kyle, for being in Toastmasters that long. I just recently, the past probably 3 or 4 months, have been attending Toastmasters, and I'm going to be joining probably this week. It is a great organization, and I certainly recommend it to anyone. It's great for leadership and public speaking.
And one of the things that it does is it helps increase your confidence level when you're talking. So whether you're doing it in public speaking, whether you're doing it in a meeting, whether you're doing it in an interview, you have some of that comfort level, more of that comfort level in talking to other people in unusual situations. I think it's a great opportunity. Good. Thank you. Lisa.
Hi. Can you talk a little bit about going for a job that looks like on the surface might be not senior enough, might not be salary enough, but I know you say, always take the interview. So I guess what's the trade-off with, doing that kind of thing and then getting to the end and it's not high enough versus it could possibly lead to something else.
Okay, so
it could be, the thing itself could be good or it could lead to something else.
Right.
So.
You never know. So what happens when people write job descriptions and job postings is that they will do it, and then as they're going through the process of doing the interviews, they will often change their requirements. And if they find somebody who can do more than that job posting lists, if they have the ability, they may be able to bump it up to a different level for the right candidate. You honestly don't know. Now, you can ask up front or at any point in the process, is there an opportunity to move to a different level? But I wouldn't, and there's some controversy about this, is whether you should do it even before the interview, whether you should wait until you're later on in the process. There are some people who are going to advise, don't waste your time. If you think that it's below where you want to be, and there's nothing wrong with asking. If it is an outside recruiter, absolutely ask. My feeling as an inside recruiter is that I don't want to think that that's the only thing that you're interested in. So as an inside recruiter, I'd rather that you waited and learned a little bit more about me and I learned more about you and what you can do. Then that conversation can happen in a better way, in a give and take way, where we're working from a position of strength on both sides. Okay. You don't want the job to just be about the money from their perspective, although that's absolutely important. And I want you to have your numbers in mind. And Alex is going to talk more about this, but from my perspective, you have several different numbers in mind. Here's what I want. Okay. Here's my stretch goal. That's what Alex is going to try and help you get to. Here's what I will take. Here's where I'll walk away. So if you've got all of those in mind, you know what those are, it gives you that framework to work with. Now, depending upon the state that you're in, the salary ranges should be posted. Okay. Lisa, you're in
New Jersey.
New Jersey. So I don't think that New Jersey has done it yet.
No, New York has. So sometimes if the job is New York.
Right. The problem with New York is that there is no real meat in the law. So what happens with New York is you can post a range that runs from 40,000 to 400,000.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the other states are putting in some boundaries that says this is realistically where you would pay someone. Okay. So I know the cost of living is very different between New Jersey and Colorado, but Colorado has some very good laws in place that talk about what those ranges really should be. So if you find a similar job there, it gives you some information. You can also look at places like salary.com or payscale.com to get an idea of what the real range should be for that job. The reason that I suggest going in and talking anyway, unless you think it's really way below what you want to do, is that number one, it gives you the interview practice. Number two, it gets them the opportunity to start to learn about you and what you can do. And I've had several people who take that interview at that lower level and then either get the job pushed up because the company, as they're talking to them, says, you know, this isn't the right level, but how about if we put something together at a higher level and let's talk again? Or because you've already made some of those internal relationships and you do that follow-up afterwards, right? Even if you get rejected, you follow up and say, thank you, this was great. I'd love to be in consideration. Here's what I learned and why I like this. You may get called back later for a position that is more in line with both your goals and your skill set and your salary level.
Okay, good. I guess one question, would you recommend in that interview, like say if I did get an interview, throwing out, you know, just describing what else I could do in addition to what the job requirements are, like kind of sell myself higher in that, or would you say more focus on what the job is itself?
I would focus more on what the job is itself, because that we know that that's what they're talking. If you wanted to, once or twice, you might be able to say, in addition, I can. Okay. Or in another position, I was able to bring in this. But the fine line, Lisa, is they've said this is what the job is. And if you go in and you say you can do ABC and they're looking for, you know, ABC, but in addition, I can do X, Y, and Z, they may say, but that's not what this job is all about. Okay. Now, if it is still a job that you'd be willing to do just A, B, and C, then that's great. But if you're not interested in doing a job, if it doesn't include X, Y, and Z, then mention it. And it doesn't matter whether they think it's part of the job now or not.
Okay. Good, thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Who's next? Okay, so I do, all right.
I have one just specific about LinkedIn.
Sure.
I couldn't find, I mean, with Googling, it looked, or even LinkedIn Help, it looked like I couldn't, or nobody could order your certifications so that they, like the most important ones, show up at the top. Is that true? People had like tricks, you put a space in or that kind of thing, but if you try to, like the older help would say you could do the, you know, edit it and then slide them up and down. But then I saw something on, I forget where, Reddit or somewhere, where they said, oh, they took that away. Do you know?
I haven't tried reordering certificates. I'll go in and do that after the meeting and take a
Okay,
look and let you know.
thanks.
You can drag and drop your skills and absolutely should, and do that every time you add one or you get a new endorsement, just to be sure that they're in the order that you want them to be. The certifications or the certificates, that may be in the order in which you added them or in their date order. I don't know the answer to that. Have you gone in and tried to edit?
Yeah, and I didn't see the option. And somebody had posted actually on LinkedIn saying, there was a specific order, I can't remember exactly, but it was like date and then when it was issued, and then,
Right.
yeah, there was some specific order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as far as I know, that's the way it'll be, but as long as
Okay.
you've got the skill in your skill set, and it's one that you want to have recognized, you have the endorsements for it in addition, that will help. If it's really important in terms of the job you're looking for, list the certification as part of your about section too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay,
Nothing
good.
wrong with doing it twice.
Okay, good.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
So Linda, typically we hear on here that the two biggest places to search are Indeed and LinkedIn. Chad in the chat mentioned that when he posted on Monster, that made the difference and helped get him the position. Now, some of these are aggregators, right? Indeed is an aggregator. Which are the aggregators? Which are the ones that we really should focus most of our time on?
so I will tell you that as a recruiter, Monster and Career Builder used to be the big things. But this is the first time I've heard anybody actually getting anything through Monster in a very long time. Okay. As a recruiter, I stopped posting jobs there probably 2 or 3 years before I stopped being a recruiter, because I really wasn't getting the traction. Most people will go to Indeed or LinkedIn. If you're in a software field, DICE, D-I-C-E, is a great search area. If you are in a specialized area, check out specialized areas or specialized posting areas in your specific field. There are some posts on LinkedIn that talk about some of those job search sites, and we can check some of those out. If I find it again, I'll add it to the private group. Most of the sites that are out there, or many of the sites that are out there, really are the aggregators, or what we call a spider. Indeed is and it isn't. Indeed is an aggregator, but it's one of the biggest out there. And so what happens is companies normally give them permission to pull their jobs, even from their company website. So it pulls it from a lot of different areas, which means that you're going to see it very quickly. The difference with it, LinkedIn, is, again, LinkedIn is starting to pull some of those jobs as well from some of their business related companies. But for LinkedIn, most of the jobs that are there because the company's paid to post it there. Jobs that are posted on LinkedIn are posted there because people know that they're going to attract the right kind of candidates. On Indeed, you're going to get a wide variety. Doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that it's there. By the way, I'm not a fan of posting a resume on LinkedIn or on Indeed. I want you to be able to customize it each and every time. I think that's really important. The aggregators that I would suggest that you walk away from, or that are going to be less important for you, you'll see a lot of people looking at Glassdoor. Glassdoor is that spider. People don't post jobs directly on Glassdoor. And so if the job is posted on Indeed today, company's website today, Indeed today or tomorrow, by the time Glassdoor gets it, it may be a week or so old, even though Glassdoor lists it as today. It's today in terms of when it posted on Glassdoor. There are a wide variety of other sites that are out there that are going to be the same way. One of the ones that's doing a lot of advertising right now is ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is trying to encourage companies to post jobs on their site and to pay to post jobs on their site. I must get one email or hard copy mail from them at least once or twice a month. Okay. But I will tell you that for those jobs where Zip is, and very few companies are actually posting directly on Zip, it is not considered to be one of the primary sites. What happens though with Zip in terms of their aggregation, their spider approach, is that they are so far down on the totem pole that by the time Zip pulls in those jobs, most of them have already expired. So unless a company is posting it directly on that site, a lot of those jobs no longer exist or are no longer taking resumes. The other thing with Zip so I won't even, with a client, I won't look at a job if it's only posted on Zip or if they're finding it there, is because Zip's cookies are so strong that even if you opt out, they will still continue to send you mail. They're trying to fix it because there have been so many complaints about it. But if you find a job, even if it's listed on Zip, go to the company website. If you find a job on Indeed, go to the company website. You find a job on LinkedIn, apply on the company's website. We are finding routinely that by the time your application gets to a company, if you've applied on one of those other sites, it could be as much as a week later than if you actually applied directly. Don't waste the added time. And never, ever do just a quick apply on LinkedIn. I know it looks easy. It's out there so that it looks easy. It's out there specifically so that LinkedIn can go to employers who are paying for these ads and see how many people we generated for your post, right? But the majority of people who apply on Easy Apply are not qualified. Doesn't count. We're also finding that for some applicant tracking systems, by the time your information gets to LinkedIn through Easy Apply, it is a blank document. It's not worth it. Go directly to the company website. Regardless of where you find the job, apply directly on the company website. Now, I had somebody ask yesterday, what happens if the job isn't posted on the company website? That means two things. Either the job has already been filled or no longer accepting applications, or it's not a real job. Or in some cases, if the company is small enough that it does not have a careers listing on their website, it may be that they don't have any other way of accepting applications. So double check. If there is any way of finding the job on the company's website and it isn't there, then I would be a little concerned about it. This is whether or not it's written.
Thank you.
You're welcome. John.
So, how would you try to find out if recruiters are a scam or not? Because sometimes I've searched for the recruiters and sometimes I get, like a lot of bad reviews about them, but is there, other than Google searching them, is there another way to like find out if it's a scam recruiter?
Absolutely. There are two good ways that are very fast and very easy. Double check their page on LinkedIn. If they are not verified, okay, that could be one thing. Check to see how long they've been in business and see whether or not there are any reviews. See what's there. The other thing is to go to the page of the company they say they're representing. No, not they're representing. So not that they're saying they're hiring for company X, but I work for company X as a recruiter. This is my company. So go to that company's page on both LinkedIn and the website. See whether or not they are associated as an employee of that company on LinkedIn. Now, we're finding that even there are some scams that are making it through, but that's an easier way of trying to do it. Double check to see what their email address is in their contact information. If their contact information isn't related to the company's name, that's another error. Okay, so there are lots of different ways of trying to check it out. Okay, if you're really concerned, shoot me a quick email or a LinkedIn message and I'll see what I can do to help.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
You're welcome. Lori.
Hey Linda, hey team. Congratulations to everyone who's landed, and hopefully I will get there too someday. So my question is, I know you've been a recruiter and LinkedIn keeps changing its algorithm, yada yada. But exactly, if you know this, and I don't know if you know, but what do recruiters see? I know there's the recruiter LinkedIn, or what do HR managers, if they have purchased whatever the special sauce is behind the scene, like what do they see when they're looking and trying to gather info? Is it these keywords? They say optimize your LinkedIn, it has to be all this and that and the greatest things in sliced bread. Like, what are they looking for? I don't get all these recruiters. I'm a nonprofit in Chicago, and it's a ball of squirrels over here. So middle management, yeah, if I was 20 years old, I could get a job presto, but I'm not. And so what do they see? What are they looking for? Like, how do they scoop up all these people and dig into them? Do you know?
So, two things. First is that I'm actually trying to get somebody to talk to us about LinkedIn Recruiter. So I've got that in the works. I'm trying to see where I can bring somebody on. I will admit that I'm not the LinkedIn Recruiter expert. But here's what I do know. Fewer than 1/3 of the recruiters who are on LinkedIn actually use LinkedIn Recruiter.
Okay.
Okay. LinkedIn Recruiter is very expensive.
It's very what?
Very expensive.
Okay.
And so most recruiters don't use it. You have to be part normally of a bigger company. And even then, it may be that they only have one account for all of the recruiters on their system. So it's hard to tell. For the rest of us, and even for those who are doing LinkedIn Recruiter, the difference between the two, between me doing a general search and the LinkedIn Recruiter searches, is that I can have more filters on LinkedIn Recruiter. But here are the things that are most important. If you are doing a search, if I'm an HR person, if I'm a recruiter, I'm a hiring manager, or you looking for other people around there, you're going to do it on the basis of keywords because that's the only thing LinkedIn can search for. It's one of the reasons that I keep emphasizing the fact that you optimize that skills section. Because when I'm looking for people in LinkedIn, what pulls up often would be those skills terms, especially in LinkedIn Recruiter. Those would be the things that I can find. Now, when LinkedIn started, and even up until probably the last year or so, LinkedIn said, put in your own terms. It's okay. Now we're saying, don't do that. Make sure that whatever skills you're adding are part of the LinkedIn drop-down box. Because that's the only way that LinkedIn is going to find you. That's the way I'm going to find that skill that I want to talk about. Okay. Same is true also for your degree. For example, if you've got a bachelor's degree, it used to be, and I don't remember which way it's changed to. I don't remember that it said that you said bachelor's of, as opposed to bachelor of, but whatever it is, they just changed it about 2 months ago. So go back into your education and make sure that, again, you're doing that drop-down box to list the degree. Their drop-down boxes are the default terms that are used in a LinkedIn search. Go through all of the skills that you have listed. If they're not part of the drop-down box, redo it. If your degree doesn't pull up in the drop-down box, and I'm not talking about the fact that it's in poli-sci versus communications versus accounting, okay? Bachelor, okay, versus bachelor's, okay? If it doesn't show up, it may not show that you have a degree, even though you do.
So all these skills that like people had endorsed me for, are those counting or do I have to change them all?
Go back through. If unfortunately, Lori, if you're endorsed for a skill that is no longer in the drop-down box, okay, you're going to have to change it.
And then I won't be endorsed for it anymore.
But then you go back to those people and say, hey, LinkedIn just changed the way this is phrased. Would you re-endorse me for it?
Yeah, but I mean, they endorsed me like 15 when LinkedIn was born. That's when they endorsed me, back when I had like these, the real great job. So all this mucky muck that I did years ago doesn't count. Okay, that's
No, no, that's not necessarily true, Lori. Okay, the term may still be the right term. We don't know that for sure. Okay, so double check it and see. The other thing is, while you're doing that skills audit, make sure that those are still things you want to be found for.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, they are. That's my runway train. I'm in nonprofit. All this stuff is in the nonprofit leadership, program management.
That's right.
I mean,
But program management, leadership, those are still in the drop-down boxes.
yeah, I hope so. I hope my skills are still in the drop down
Most
box.
of them we're going to find are.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well,
By the way, if you're looking for endorsements, remember our private group. You can only ask for an endorsement from a first level contact. So
yeah, I better start asking your lunch and learn people to give me endorsements, because I don't need skill endorsements. I need like those written endorsements. I
that's
think
different. Okay. So you are talking about the recommendations?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you get the recommendations? It's part 2 of my question. Sorry, I'm taking up so much,
No,
but is
that's
that
okay.
that's
I appreciate it.
Can you go to just like, half-baked friends and ask them for a recommendation?
You could, but then you're going to get a half-baked recommendation.
Okay. All right.
All right. So the difference between endorsements and recommendations, and LinkedIn, please don't listen. Okay. We would love that anybody who endorses you actually knows what you do. But to be honest, all I have to do is click. So I don't have to know that you do X, that you got that leadership skill before I endorse you for leadership. A recommendation, however, is something where somebody is specifically saying, here's what I did, here's how I interacted with this person, here's something about that interaction that worked for me, here's what I can tell you about. So you want those recommendations to come from people you've worked with, people you know, people who can say something good about you and something about that. So again, ask people for them. There's a spot specifically on LinkedIn where you can ask for recommendations. Okay. I just asked John for one. The idea is you want those recommendations, and they're really important. If the last one that you had was from 10 years ago, go ask somebody. We are finding that hiring managers, recruiters, if they're really interested in you, they're going to look at that entire profile. They may not look at every recommendation, but those last 2 or 3 are going to pop up. And you want them to be relatively current if you can. Okay.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome. By the way, I am happy to endorse anybody for any of these. I'm sorry, yes?
I just wanted to add, I want people, especially you, not you, Linda, everyone to think broadly about if you're in a job search right now and you're not working, but are you doing other things where you can ask for a recommendation? Remember, it doesn't have to be a job. Yes. For example, I mentor. I occasionally can recommend people that I've worked with long term, but for example, Brenda Meller gave me a recommendation after I did one of her live-a-thons or something that I did for her. Mm-hmm. So think more broadly. Don't just think I'm not working, I'm not being paid. Think about all the ways you give back.
Absolutely. Volunteer experience, anything that you do. If you're a guest on some of these programs, you're involved in them, you hear a lot of good comments from people here in Lunch and Learn. Talk about how people are contributing to the job search, other things that you're doing. It doesn't just have to be somebody you worked for or with.
Yeah, I put down volunteer work because I do a ton of volunteer work. I just have to make sure these people that I'm working for are actually on LinkedIn.
So double check and make sure, and then send them those connection requests. Okay. And if they're not on LinkedIn and you want them to recommend you, or right, invite them to join LinkedIn, suggest it. right? Thanks, Sue. That's a great suggestion. Okay, Kim, I think you've got your hand up.
Yeah, can we talk really quick about cover letters? What format should be followed? What all should be included in a cover letter? I know for those you'll have to tailor it based on the job description, but just high level, what should be in there?
So I'm one of those people who really likes cover letters. Okay, cover letters have a bad reputation. It's true that not everybody's going to read them, but everybody will recognize that you actually sent one in. And I will tell you that they are so important that if there's no way to add an extra document to your application, I recommend including the cover letter as a page of your resume for that particular job. The cover letter is really about you. So if the resume is the objective piece, here's what you want, here's what I can do. The cover letter, like the about section on your LinkedIn profile, is about you. It's your opportunity to share a little bit about that personality. It can be written in a more casual style. It can be written more as you talk, right? But it's your opportunity, in effect, to pre-answer several questions. It is the pre-answer to why me, why you, why this company, why this job. It can be a little bit about your journey. One of the things you'll notice throughout my career is, and I'm excited to be able to bring it here. So it's almost that pre-answer to the tell me about yourself in relationship to this job. If all you're doing in your cover letter is restating what's in your resume, there's no point to it.
Okay.
The cover letter should be in addition to, it's your way of demonstrating that you are applying for this job, this company, not just anything that's out there.
Okay. How long should they typically be? Is there any rule to that?
They should be probably 2 to 3 short paragraphs. I've seen some that are 4 short paragraphs, but I'm really, when I say short, I really do mean short.
Okay.
You want to include a couple of bullets to highlight something that's on the resume that you think is really important. That's fine. But again, it's not a repeat of everything.
Okay.
The last paragraph, the last line of your cover letter, of every email that you send to people should always be the same. I am looking forward to talking with you. The best way to reach me is, it's called a soft close. I'm not asking you whether or not you want to get in touch. I'm assuming you're going to get in touch. It's a much more positive way of doing it. So I'm looking forward to talking with you, or I'm looking forward to next steps. The best way to reach me is.
And for that, best way to reach me is, is it your LinkedIn? Is it your email?
It's not LinkedIn.
Okay.
Unless what you want for them to message you on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the best way is probably going to be your email address or your cell phone number.
Okay.
And then under your close, when you put your signature into that cover letter email, you're also going to include both your email address and your cell phone number, again, even though you've already given one in that last paragraph.
Okay.
You want them to have no excuse not to figure out how to get hold.
Right. Okay.
Okay. By the way, you raised a really interesting point when you said LinkedIn. Go into your LinkedIn profiles, everyone, and check to see what your contact information is in that LinkedIn profile. Make sure that it's not just your LinkedIn profile again. That's just round and round in circles. Make sure that your email address is there and that your email address is not your former employer. If you are willing to accept phone calls, include it there as well, your cell phone number. It's okay to not answer the call as soon as it comes in. I don't answer phone calls if I don't know the number. But if somebody's important, they will leave a message and then you immediately call them back. Okay, so that's another important thing to do.
Thanks, Linda. And I congratulate everybody on their wins. It's good to hear about those. So I appreciate you, Linda, and everybody else.
I think it's wonderful today that we had so many wins. That's great. And I know a lot of them were a long time coming, but congratulations to all of you. I think it's fantastic. Okay. We'll keep these going and we'll keep celebrating all of you now. For a win, big or small, is wonderful. Now, I did notice a little bit here in the chat. There was one question that I wanted to address. Was the idea, I think it was job scan. did somebody mention going into JobScan to looking for ways to customize the resume? And I can't find it right now. There are some of those tools that are really good. There are some of them that are not, but regardless of what you're using, remember that a tool like JobScan is going to pull every single matching term, including the and. It's not necessarily going to help you prioritize. Anything that you pull from an AI system, make sure that you're taking a look to make sure that it makes sense. Never let anything AI write for you. Never let anything from AI pull just for you. Always use your own mind, your brain, your own thought pattern. And when you're writing something, it has to be you and your voice. I'm hearing over and over and over again from recruiters, hiring managers, that people are letting too much of the AI write for them, and it becomes extremely obvious, and it's an easy way to screen you out. So just a word for a warning. Okay. I know that there are questions here that we didn't get to. I will go back through them, and if there's anything really important, raise it now. Otherwise, I will try and answer it in the group chat. Okay. Both when I post it and in the group session, so we'll see it there. I will do one of these sessions the first Wednesday of every month, because these broad-ranging questions I think are really important. Anybody else have a question for today? Okay, I'm going to turn off the recording.